Hey everybody, hope everybody's doing okay. It's that time again. Greenhouse tour. I'm going to show y'all some leaves and things that you haven't seen since the last video I made around a month ago. If you see any plants or anything and you have any questions, you can just leave them in the comments. I'll get to you as quick as I can. Well, I hope you enjoy it. You can turn it around, let you see my plants. You can kind of see what we're working with today. It really kind of feels like a jungle in here. Everything's doing really well. New leaves on everything. Hidden leaves. More hidden leaves. Some little philodendron Birkins, which probably needs some more light, but I think they're doing good. It's a nice big new leaf I didn't see. El Chaco has got a new leaf unfurling. Should be out in a couple days. Actually, probably a week. My Monstera put out a new leaf. This big giant one back here. If I can grab it without stepping on some plants. That's pretty huge, actually. It's got arrow roots coming all down on top of my plants. But that's okay. Varicosum, still got some bug problems, but I haven't used any bug treatments in here yet. Don't know what I'm waiting for exactly, but I just haven't gotten around to it. One thing is, there's no real good place to put a bug bomb in here. I mean, last time I used them, I had it sitting like right here, and this fan blew it all on top of my Capenzas, the bug bomb juice or whatever, and it ruined them for a while. Like, it took a long time for them to recover. So I haven't really bug bombed them yet. I've been more so dealing with just trying to stay on top of watering. And some of these plants I've gotten haven't been repotted since I bought them from whatever vendor or whatever, box shop that I purchased them from. They're still in the same soil, and I've noticed a lot of this soil has become like, I don't want to say anaerobic, I think that's the wrong word, but like, it just dries out too fast, especially my sphagnum moss. But I haven't repotted my Nepenthes. I mean, minus the, I don't know, I guess, actually I've repotted a lot of these Nepenthes. There's a whole lot of these pots that I bought, but the square ones are pretty much, not these square ones, I don't know, there's a couple of them that I haven't changed the substrate in since they've been shipped to me, and I can kind of tell which ones are struggling with the actual potting mix, and they all just kind of need to be repotted. And when I have the time to repot stuff, I'm really not trying to, because I also work. Like these poor things, I swear I let this thing dry out at least once a month. I swear. This little heartleaf fern, and this one was starting to look pretty bad. I just didn't notice but yeah, it still was dried out. My little, or not little, but Alophaglossum hairy leaf fern, it's dried out a couple times, and it's just like once the sphagnum perlite mix, even for my helianthus, once it dries out, it becomes hydrophobic. And the only way that you can really re-moisturize this hydrophobic sphagnum is to literally take these plants. Fogger just kicked on. Take these plants out and soak them in water And that's hard to do. You know, that's hard to take. I mean, like, try taking out one of these vines or something like that. Like, I think the best bet is to just, like, see this plant here goes down through here, goes down, wraps around. Anyway, it ends up in this pot down here. It's got a little basil coming off of it. It's not little, actually. It's quite a big basil. But I could just chop the stem down that's behind this basil and get a bunch of cuttings. You know, every couple leaf nodes I could get a cutting. And I could repot it then. You know, I'm kind of just postponing all the stuff that could be getting done right now till the springtime, but I don't want to wait till spring exactly. I would rather put the plants under stress during the winter, the slow cold growing environment, and hope that some of these cuttings could like start taking off before springtime. Not that they're cuttings, but they could be cuttings. And so actually when springtime gets here, they would be hopefully they wouldn't be under stress and they would grow like it was springtime, I guess. But there's just a lot of different types of media in here too. So like this Veitchii and sphagnum moss, it's putting out a new leaf for me, which is cool. Just started a couple days ago. What's the latest leaf? This was the latest leaf on my Anthurium Veitchii. This is the latest leaf on my Spiritus Sancti, which got pretty long. And it's got a new one fixing to unfurl. Burl Marks Flame finally showed a not variegated, fenestration, which is cool. It's got quite a few leaves on it now. I really, if I had the balls to do it, I could chop it down and maybe make some cuttings from it. It's pretty big and aggressive growing now. Y'all have seen this leaf, I'm pretty sure, but I can tell it's got a new one fixing to come out. It's got an aerial root here too, and it's ran out of moss pole, so I need to like get another moss pole back here so leaves can get bigger. Or I could try and, well, I mean, it's rooted in here. I could probably just cut the moss pole and have two of those plants. I don't know, guys. What can I show you in here? Fingers. It ain't got no new leaves, but it's got, I chopped this and it's got a new leaf fixing to come out. Looks pretty good. Campos Sportatum's out of moss pole as well, but it's still giving me big leaves, but it's probably gonna stop that pretty soon. These are a lot bigger. I think that's not a new leaf. Yeah, that's a new leaf. Skeleton Key is finally putting out new growth after shipping it, I guess probably 8 months ago. Which it actually, no, that's one leaf. Kind of looks like two different leaves coming off. I don't know, it was stunted for a long time. I'm not sure why, but it wouldn't grow very well. I thought it was gonna die, but it didn't. Regal Shield, beautiful plant. I think those are Philodendron Xandus. Some babies here, but they have a infection. You can kind of see it, maybe. Yeah, now you can see it. All those spots, they look like rust. Need to be addressed. It's a big Campos Sportatum leaf. Propagations are all doing good. They're all rooted and popping. Pink princesses. Some of them look prettier than others. But like this one over here, beautiful leaf if you can see it. Pretty. A lot more variegation than I'd like, but it's nice to get one every now and then. It's more like what it gives me. Pretty leaves though. That's pink, it's not white. Well, it's kind of whitish looking, it's kind of bleached out pink on some of these, but this one's more like a really pretty pink. Monstera Peru, and all their cuttings, they're doing good, which they need to really, it'd look really cool to have them all in the same pot and have just a really nice totem, like 4 or 5 plants in a big planter, and just have these big leaves, you know, growing together, kind of like what it looks like right there. I think that's pretty. I cut this Prince of Orange down. It gave me this little crappy looking leaf, and now I can tell the next leaf is going to be good. It'll probably be like one of these, but should look really pretty. Y'all see that in the next video. Crystallinum doing its thing, I guess. Not really growing. I guess they're known for that. Slow growers. What else? Brazil. My pothos up here. Quite a few of those. Overwatered. You can tell some of these leaves are yellow-ish. Maybe a little edema. I'll grab that real quick. I overwatered my string of pearls. It's still alive, still growing. String of turtles is getting really long. I need to start thinking about propagating it better. I got this that I'm just laying some of the strings in, and I can tell that they've rooted in place because I can't pull them up anymore. So peperomias up here, lichens crawling on the roof, crawling everywhere. Philodendron lichens. This is melambulata. Leaf's starting to turn, which that's like a really old leaf. New leaf on the way eventually. Some in the back. Like this is a begonia ferox. They look very similar, but this is 2 different types of begonia, which kind of have the same bullate looking leaves. I think it's creepy looking, like a plant you wouldn't normally see. Anyway, obliquas have both put out new leaves. Got a little yellow on the tip, but I think that's because of overwatering. Hopefully it's nothing to worry about. Obliqua. Here you go, guys. I bought a node from somebody off the internet. No leaves. And I had it for about 7 months before deciding to chop it in half because it had 2 activation points available. And finally it grew up into a little obliqua. This plant used to be $1,000. I didn't pay $1,000 for it. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. But this plant used to be really expensive. And guess how much it is now? For one that's probably this size. I'd say maybe 150, 200 bucks. Probably. Maybe, if that. That's probably a little bit more positive thinking than anything. But anyway, I got a bunch of Syngonium albos. And they're all kind of... This is a Syngonium albo too, but one of the cuttings that I got from it, it's showing no signs of variegation, which is okay. That's why you have to cut these plants, because this isn't a stable variegation. You know, you might have it grow and only produce white and green leaves, which looks beautiful, but if it starts producing just green leaves, then, you know, you might need to cut it back to a point to where it was actually making pretty plants. Like this one right here, I could cut it right here in between these two nodes and take this top cut, which is variegated, and it would still be variegated. Maybe, depending on, yeah, it depends on a lot of different factors, I guess. But varicosums, they look bug free right now, and they're beautiful, actually. Pretty beautiful. And they all got nice, you know, they all give you the little skimpy leaf when you first cut them, like mutated leaves, but then it's given me quite a few since then that actually look pretty good. It needs to be put on a moss pole. And as much as I want to show you guys my lifesaver cactuses up there, I'm just not going to pull them down. Because I can't really see any visible flowers on it anyway, but this is all my lifesaver plants. I have quite a few. I don't know if my phone's focusing up there, but I'm trying to hold you up so you can see them. This is just full of Adansonii and, let me turn this back off, Tradscantia crawling down. I got my Rhaphidophora, Tetrasperma, and they're all crawling on the wall, which could be bad, and it could be, you know, it looks cool. I think it looks cool, so I'm not too worried about it. Just if I ever wanted to make another cutting of one of these common plants, I'd have to rip it off the wall. That'd be cool. Yeah. We got Tillandsia, staghorn ferns, got a new leaf coming out. Finally. It's been a long time actually since that thing's made anything for me, because this just dries out too much. This is sphagnum moss. I can tell you right now, it's just as dry as it can be. But it's hard to get that hydrated. You know, I can only spray a water hose up there, and I've actually got it drilled in behind this log. So if I want to remove this plank, I have to take this whole log structure with my little Tillandsias on it off and then soak it in water. And I'm just not going to do that. You know, staghorn ferns are kind of inexpensive, but I guess it's just kind of like an experiment to see, you know. Anyway, Scindapsus. And there's not a whole lot more in here I can really show you guys. I mean, there's some more Tillandsia up here. Now, all these propagations, there's quite a few of them. The tortums are starting to grow through the rafters, or the shelving, and it really needs to be put on a pole. You can tell by how big these leaves are, but as you go up, that's a new leaf, but it's small, and it's because if it was on a moss pole, it would actually get really different looking. But maybe next year I'll work on that. The Hoyas have been flowering. Orchids are flowering again. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a mess. Drosera adelae, sticky as it can be. Full, I guess it's probably what, like 12 inches wide trays. This is like, I don't know, it seems like that's like 15 inches wide of just Drosera adelaes. In the back I got some Utricularia putting out new leaves and dropping old leaves. Asparagus fern. Some ferns, neglected fern in the back. I let this dry out all the way by accident, and it dropped a bunch of its leaves. Nepenthes don't have much going on with new pitchers, but it won't be too much longer and they'll start popping out again. You can see where they're wanting to come out. Well, not on this one. Actually, this is a dead tendril. Yeah, it's dead. But let's see, is this one good? Yeah, that's a good one. It's just waiting for the right time to start growing. But they just keep giving me a bunch of new leaves. The new leaves look good, you know. Good and healthy and green and shiny. And most everything in here, I'm pretty sure everything in here is mostly bug free. I don't see many pests. I do see some fungus on like my Helianthera McDonaldae. It could just be an old pitcher. It was an old pitcher, but how it's got the discoloration where it could be sunburn. But I'm starting to think that it's a little bit of both, maybe sunburn and rust. Which is okay. It'll be fine. New pitcher growth. New pitchers in the back of that. McDonaldae is fixing to have a new pitcher. Sunburnt Nepenthes, or light burned, neglected Nepenthes in the back. This stuff dries out relatively quickly. Yeah, like this needs to be watered, but it doesn't die. Like there's a couple of Nepenthes that I just know are okay. I think I mostly start to worry about the hydrophobicness of the sphagnum moss when the leaves start curling like this. See how it's slightly curled? It's because I let this dry out too much. And then I watered the crap out of it. But, or like this one. This is not a healthy one. But that's just because it needs to be repotted. I mean, it's got this little old dinky basket pot. And it's just as dry as it can be. But I'll fix it. Hopefully that's alright. Rob Cantley eye picture. I mean, everything's doing pretty good. I did lose a what was it? I had a Nepenthes. Was it Naga? Yeah, Nepenthes Naga, N-A-G-A, that died on me, which is quite disappointing because it was an expensive Nepenthes. Not like really expensive, but pretty expensive. But you know, you can't save everything. I did try to save it, but it was a little too late. It got crown rot, and it turned black on the tip, and then everything went mushy below it before I could actually like cut a stem or something. Anyway guys, that's my update. I put it off for 12, 13 days or whatever. I was going to try and do it at the beginning of December, but I just didn't. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, like I said, just leave them in the comments. I'll get to them as quick as I can. Catch you later. Bye.